I won't stop till I hear him say,
Okay, what is going on, CYPRX advanced YouTubers? Welcome back to the CYPRX YouTube page. As always, if you're interested in learning about cryptocurrencies, commodities, indices, foreign exchange, please go ahead and consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. Guys and gals, don't forget that once we reach 10,000 YouTube subs, we are going to be giving away 100 XRP. So with that being said, make sure that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. In today's video breakdown, I'm going to be playing some video snippets for you guys, piecing some things together. I hope that you guys enjoy, sit back and relax and enjoy this video display. Make sure that before you hop off of the YouTube page, you smash that thumbs up button. It does help boost the YouTube algorithm. Without further ado, let's jump into today's video breakdown.
Into it to keep its value. What happened is the currency we value it in, the dollar, went down a lot. It was, oh, no, the dollar's strong. No, it's not. You're looking at DXY. DXY compares the US dollar to the yen and the euro and a couple other things. And the fact that the yen and the euro are even more toilet paper than the dollar doesn't make the dollar strong. The dollar versus the renminbi over the last 2 years is flat to down a little bit. The renminbi is the ascendant currency. The dollar is in decline. It's been the world reserve currency for 70 plus years, but that's rapidly coming to an end. So anyway, more than you wanted for that answer, but the world did this stupid, idiotic, maybe one of the dumbest policy decisions in the history of mankind, which is a big statement, I know. And I'm prone to hyperbole, but this might go down as when you destroy economies over a respiratory virus that we've been living with for thousands of years, makes no sense. But maybe it does make sense if your goal is different than defeating the virus. Maybe it's not about the virus. Maybe it's about control. Maybe it's about money. Maybe it's about power. Maybe it's about dictatorships. More on that later. So what happened is
you wouldn't think that you could predict it. But it's also possible that prices are completely irrational and manipulated. But it's also possible that
prices are completely irrational and manipulated.
Companies will cut your taxes if you do this. How about you buy back your own stock and increase the price of the stock, even though your earnings are flat? And then the people at the top get really rich. So what's happened over the last, really since 1913, and really exacerbated since the global financial crisis, is there's been this giant sucking sound, and that's not jobs going to Mexico. That is the money being sucked up from the middle class and the masses to the very tippy top, not even the 1%, the 0.1%. And that is the job of the Fed. Everyone thinks the Fed is price stability and job. No. The job of the Fed is to steal money from the masses and give it to the people at the top through this thing we call inflation. The job of the Fed
is to steal money from the masses
and give it to the people at the top through this thing we call inflation.
Golf and buying them dinner. It's really kind of thinking about how to use technology and information in a totally different way. So if you're not already on their app, on their phone, and that's how they access information, if you're not already there, you're behind. You're behind. So for people to really think about how to use technology, how to kind of think about kind of out of the box approaches to investments, and really it's not just about assessing value, it's creating value. And again, really being able to understand how these kind of exotic investments work, whether it is crypto, whether it is thinking about getting into, whether it's the metaverse, etc., these pre-IPO opportunities. And the time is now. The absolute time is now.
price goes up or down. That isn't really about does it produce a product that meets a use case? But it definitely feels like a success metric to people in the space, and it kind of feels demoralizing when the price goes down, and it feels good when the price goes up. So I wish we did understand it.
What are some of your pet peeves about blockchain and crypto? What are the things people most misunderstand?
Well, boy, there are a lot. So one is that the prices are a metric of the success of the projects. They're a metric of something, but I don't know what. Like the success of the projects from my mind is like, are we developing new and interesting technologies? Do we have product market fit, use case fit? We're succeeding on some of those metrics, but at least like judge us on the right metrics. Judge us on whether we're producing products that meet people's needs. Judge us on, what.
Yeah, this has been the narrative for a few years because I've talked to your CEO, Brad, fairly often, and he's made the case this is a way for banks to save money, use XRP as kind of a bridge currency. But I got to say, it doesn't seem to be happening. It seems every year this is kind of the promise, but we're not seeing a lot of adoption. What's going on there?
I would agree that adoption of digital assets has been a little slower, you could see it as being incredibly quick or incredibly slow, depending on what time frame you think is reasonable. I would say revolutionizing international finance is not something that you would expect to happen overnight, but it is a multi-step process. And I think the first problem that we encountered, we kind of thought that we could take a direct line to settling with a digital asset. And I think a lot of people thought that, well, now we have digital assets, let's just use them for payments and that'll be that. Part of the problem,
rolling out this new stablecoin, does that kind of freeze you guys out, or?
I think it's actually helpful. One of the problems that people have is the ability to hold digital assets can be difficult, particularly with the volatility in some digital assets. Stablecoins are safer to hold if you can trust the issuer. So I think to that extent, it can be helpful because you still need liquidity. So if you imagine a dollar stable coin issued by JPM and you have maybe some other dollar coins issued by companies like Circle and everybody seems to be issuing a stable coin. And then you have stable coins in other currencies because if you're not in the United States, a dollar coin is not really all that stable. You still need liquidity between those stable coins. And I think it's also important to remember that these stable coins have counterparties and there isn't a universal counterparty. There isn't some counterparty that everybody in the world can have equal access to. It's going to have to be in some jurisdiction. It's going to have to be part of some regulatory regime. And so I think if the vision is this sort of open participation, this sort of internet of money, collateralized stablecoins will be players, but I think there will still have to be liquidity between them. And if you imagine dozens of stablecoins, hundreds and hundreds of markets is probably not going to be as efficient as going through some sort of assets that aggregate, like the dollar does today. The dollar sort of aggregates demand for smaller currencies, and we see XRP playing that role.
Bada bop boom pow.
Has it just been harder to create a new kind of money than anybody anticipated?
Those are great points, right? And I agree with you. The global financial system we have today is antiquated, right? It's SWIFT correspondent banking. That's how you move value cross-border. That's built in the 70s. Its days are numbered. It has to be replaced. So no, that didn't happen. Things take time.
Yeah. So what has to happen from, we're in June 2020. What has to happen over the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever? What changes do you see taking place? Is it just going to be a natural evolution? Is there something, are you going to need an entity like the Federal Reserve stepping in? And we can talk about the Fed a little later, but what do you think is going to happen over the next several years? And more than what you think, what do you think needs to happen?
Well, I think we need to work within the system, clearly. We do need to work with governments. Again, a big mistake early on was, we're just going to go around central banks. It's just nonsense, right? So we've got to get the central banks involved. Frankly, they are, though. There's an incredible amount of engagement. Whether it's in the UK or in Japan, Singapore, the Fed here in the US, certainly Brazil, all around the world. India now is loosening up. We're seeing major changes there. So it is happening, but those things take time, right? And technology works on kind of one quick cycle that's very different from how governments and regulation work. So they're kind of a natural mismatch, but we've got to get those three things, tech, capital markets, and regulatory authorities working together. That's difficult, harder than the internet. in fact. So I think a lot of it is staying with it, working within the incumbents, but not keeping our eyes off the prize of access to all. Working within the incumbents, but not keeping our eyes off the prize of
access to all.
Stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capped in space. I won't stop till I hear him say, oh, oh, la, 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 la.